Good morning, Queens. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I already see you popping in here. Good morning. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Facebook users. Good morning, Arlinda. Good morning, Sister Mary. Good morning. Good morning to each of you. I'm glad that you're already here and we're ready to go. Good morning, Alice. Good morning. Good morning, Facebook users again. Good morning, Kimberly Washington. I say that because we have several Kims. Good morning. Good morning to everybody who's joining us. We're going to get ready and get ready to go ahead and dive into our lesson for today. Good morning. Good morning, Lee, and I'm all caps. Good morning, Arnita. Good morning, Tony. Good morning. All right. So, y'all, yesterday we kind of began to set our platform to do a deeper discussion from just a few days ago when we were talking about Queen Cleopatra, with this understanding that Queen Cleopatra was amazing in so many ways, but at the end of her life, she ended up committing suicide, right? And the storyline in day number 3 was that after pouring all that she had into other people, when it came to herself, when it was time that she felt depleted and just dry and done, she had nothing to give herself. And so we want to make sure that as we are journeying together here and focusing on theme 2023, which is well to be well and whole, that we put those safeguards in place. We put those things in place to ensure that ourselves are well. So as we journey through that part of the discussion, we had particularly a queen say, I'm all about this self-care and taking care of me, but there's a piece of me who doesn't even know who that self is anymore. And we had several women raise their hand remotely to say, I've either been there or I am there. I understand what it's like to have given so many pieces of myself away in so many different titles and roles and formats that I'm not really even sure of who I am anymore. And so we're doing the work today of just answering some of those Lucian questions and gathering ourselves. So, as we prepare to go into the lesson, I will invite you, as always, to check in, get yourself on the roll. We do pray for you. We continue to pray for you. We know that we speak very transparently and open over here. And so, we don't take these conversations lightly. We take the time to really cover you in prayer. So, welcome to the community where we're over here being better together. Go ahead and get yourself checked in. And then you're welcome to join me on day number 3, which is page number 22 in the book, and you are welcome to follow along. As a quick sidebar, all products, shirts, hoodies, books, everything that has been ordered, it has been mailed to you. So watch for it. Make sure that you're getting it so that you can track along. As I was processing this lesson, I was thinking about a dear sister friend of mine who often watches, and I remember her just saying how she has a unique laugh. And those of us who are close to her, we would agree she has a very unique laugh. And she would talk about how within her very personal relationship, her laughter would get on the nerves of her significant other. And since then, that relationship has diminished, and she's exited that. But she came to this awareness that even something as unique and simple as her laugh, if it bothered the person that she was trying to do life with, to the point that she would sometimes squelch her laughter to try to avoid getting on his nerves, that is just a mismatch of where she belonged. Because something that is for us, for our lives, whether it's our partnerships, whether it's our friendships, it's our relationships, the unique pieces of ourselves should not have to be squelched or adjusted or altered to make the other person be comfortable with who we are, right? There's an awareness that even something about the way that I laugh, my laughter, it's a part of who I am. Somebody get that? It's a part of who I am. There's nothing about the unique pieces of me that God chose, right? That I didn't even choose, that needs to be squashed or adjusted to make someone else happy. So, with this being said, when we go back to a loose end, knowing ourselves, I want to start right there with our scripture, Psalms 139 and 14. We've been tracking with that for a couple of days. Somebody drop it into the comments. Somebody else, you may want to put this on your mirror. You may want to put this on a sticky note for your car. Psalms 139 and 14, y'all. It pushes back darkness. It pushes back against the messages of the world. It pushes back against The girls who chat in our heads, as my friend Charlotte would say, it pushes back against the noise that can come from our own inner thoughts, and it reminds us that God has said in Psalms 139 and 14, if you are there, he says, we say, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God sees me as fearfully and wonderfully made. So I see me as fearfully and wonderfully made. I know that even right now in this simple lesson, I am coming against words that have spoken over you, even in your childhood. I'm coming against ugly comments that have been made to you from maybe a life partner or from a relationship. I am coming against and renouncing words that have been spoken over you by yourself. I'm coming against the messages that you've received from maybe a supervisor or a family member. In speaking these simple lessons, we are pulling down, tearing down every thought that seeks to exalt itself against the word of God over your life. And we are reminding ourselves that we are what God says that we are. God says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So let's explore that. The word fearfully, good morning, Teresa. The word fearfully, if somebody will just get these quick notes. Fearfully means to be honored, to be reverenced, sacred, and ordained. God sees me as a person of honor, he sees me as something special, as something sacred, something that's ordained, like he intended for the egg and the sperm that connected, that made me, he ordained for that to happen. I'm not anybody's mistake. I'm not anybody's consequence. I'm not anybody's leftover circumstance. I'm literally sacred and special, ordained. Y'all receive it on today. Ordained, honored, reverenced by God. He determined that Gena would exist. Y'all put your own names in there. He determined that Alice would exist. He determined that Jackie Weathers would exist. He determined that Carisha would exist. He determined that Lorena would exist. He determined that Nigel would exist. He determined that Michelle would exist. Like, God did that. Somebody received that. God did that. I'm saying that even though it's simple, I'm saying that so that we really begin to step into that by faith. Because for however many years we have lived on this earth, we have often received messages that counter that viewpoint. Many of us can raise our hands and say, I've been in situations where I've been made to feel as if I'm an inconvenience. I've been in situations where I've been made to feel as if I'm the second or the third choice. I've been in situations where I've been made to feel as if I'm not enough. Anybody agree? So it is so important that even though we know these things and we kind of can say them as cliche, that we choose with intentionality to open up our faith and to step into it by faith. The way that we will know when we are really receiving what God has said about us is there are certain things that will no longer be acceptable. There are certain behaviors that we will no longer tolerate from ourselves or others. We step by faith into what God has said about us. We step into faith past the chokeholds that have been around our necks, past the bruises that have been upside our head or upside our eyes, past the harsh words that have hit our ears, past the speakings that have come from grandmama and them or from family reunions. We step over it past the jokes, past being the butt of the jokes in middle school or high school. Like, we step past all of that, the layers that those things have said and put into our skin, into our spirit, into our hearts, into our minds. And we really receive that God says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We allow that sound to rise above the compliment that somebody did not give, the I love you that somebody did not say, the curse word when somebody called us out of our names, the bullying efforts that we have experienced. We allow ourselves to really step into a faith space that God says that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that God thinks that I'm sacred and I'm worthy of being reverenced and honored. That's who God says. That's what God says about me. So that's what I'm going to say about me. I know that I'm pushing this simple message, and I'm pushing it intentional because I know many of us can hear these things, but our experiences do not underscore them. So we have to choose by faith to walk according to who God has said that we are. So God says that we're fearfully, that's fearfully, honor, worthy of honor, reverence, sacred, and ordained. God also says that we are wonderfully made. Somebody say that over your own self. I am wonderfully made. I know that I've been told the opposite, but God says that I am wonderfully made. And God can't tell a lie, y'all. He's not lying on me when he says that I'm wonderfully made. Wonderful means to be awestruck. Y'all get that? Whew. Sarah, that's something about me that can awestruck somebody, right? Filled with wonder. Filled with wonder. When God created y'all, man, listen, God says, honey, they are awe-striking. They are filled with wonder. He was like, this right here, I'm laying this earth, right? And I'm building these trees and these flowers and these rainbows and these clouds and these skies and these waters and these oceans and these wells. And I'm building these apples and these peaches and I'm building this grass and these herbs and I'm building the sky and the heavens and the firmament. And y'all think I'm doing the thing. Y'all think I'm over here killing it. Like I'm over here just setting creation in order, and these birds are flying. And here come these giraffes with these beautiful stripes. And here come these elephants with these gorgeous swinging trunks. And here comes the cheetah. And here comes the zebra. And y'all are applauding. And you thinking I'm doing the thing. I done made the sun and the moon and the stars and the galaxy. And y'all think I'm nailing it. But you ain't seen nothing yet. I am saving the best for last. I'm about to roll out something that y'all have never seen before. And y'all guess who he brings lastly, escorting onto the scene? Me and you, honey. He came out there with one man. He came out there with woman as his crown and glory. And when he got through creating her, honey child, when God got through creating woman, he said, oh, that's it. If you go back and track history, he created a whole lot of stuff. But when he got down to woman, when he finished that thing with woman, God said, that's it. That's it. I'm done. That's how he views and he sees us. We are the best part, y'all. We're the crowning glory. It says that we are the apple of his eye. Awestruck. There is something about you that is worthy of awe, that is full of wonder. Don't let anybody, including yourself, convince you of otherwise. Step into it, y'all, by faith. Step into it by faith. Why is that so critical? Y'all, because when we embrace how God sees us, when we embrace the majesty of his glory that rests on the inside of us, when we embrace that we are the caravans through which the Holy Spirit moves throughout this earth realm, when we embrace that our voice and the activation of our words destroys generational things and conduct, when we accept that when we pray, all of heaven bends its ear to hear what comes from the lips of Deborah, to hear what comes from the lips of Alice, when we understand that when we reap, God and the angel army stand at attention, ready to perform what needs to be done to bring about restoration and peace in our lives. When we recognize that when we cry unto him, that he is a God who is ready to respond, when we really get that he loves us, that he loves us so much, that we are created in his image, that his hands rest on our lives, y'all, then we will mobilize and become more emphatic about walking throughout this earth realm and our full divinity and authority in our power, recognizing that we can speak to situations and peace gets escorted in the room. We can walk into circumstances and depression begins to flee simply because you showed up on the scene, simply because you arrived, simply because you opened your mouth, simply because you made a decision, simply because you're here, because God has ordained that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God said so. So how do we really get back to that energy? How do we get back to that space? Well, we began to explore, how did God make me? How did God make me? How did God really make me? Let me sit with me for a minute and really process my quirks, my laughter. Let me process the way that I move and my nose and how I think. Let me really understand, how did God make me? And people capture that in so many different ways. Sometimes people just take a moment and they get out a journal, just an old fashioned paper and pen, and they think about the unique things that God has created in them. Hear this: God determined my details. God determined my details. Looks like I'm freezing. So if you can still hear me, Jen, let me know. If you can still hear me.
We can hear you.
Excellent. So I see myself frozen, but I'm going to keep on talking, okay? So what we will do then, y'all just stay with me until this camera thing does whatever it's gonna do. Y'all see, y'all can hear me, then we're gonna do it just like that. We're gonna play like we're the confessional. Y'all can't really see me yet, but y'all talking to me. All right, so think through this with me. God determined my details. Everybody jump down into the comments and give me one quick detail that is something that you think is original about yourself, something that you just really enjoy about you. God determined my details. God determined my details. So what is something that you would say is just an original detail about yourself that you know God made you just like that? God made me just like that. So I see, let me see if I can pull up some of the comments. I'm funny. Jen says that she's funny. She's funny. And you have a great laugh, Jen. Come on, let's jump into the comments. What else we got going on down here? God determined my details. What else do we have? My personality. Somebody says my personality is unique. Somebody says that I have let me see if it'll let me show it on the screen. I have a good laugh. Absolutely. My smile, my tenaciousness. I see my smile several times. My built-in microphone. I bet that's you, Lee, your built-in microphone. Who else is giving us something unique? My great personality. Absolutely. My infectious personality. Some people, it's simply your heart. My undignified, you're an undignified worshiper. Come on, Tracy, with that undignified worship. Michelle has love, laughing, and making other people laugh. My smile. Everybody with me. God determined my details. God determined my details. Now, when you think about that, sometimes, like I said with my girlfriend, sister friend earlier, she was mocked about her laughter. How when we really receive that, if my laughter gets on your nerves, then my laughter is just not for you, because there's nothing wrong with my laughter, right? God determines our details. So oftentimes when we are really trying to know ourselves, there's a strategy that we have, and it's very simple. It invites people to go back into their childhood. So everybody start thinking about a little bit of you, young you, young you. Everybody think about young you, like 5, 6, 3, 4, childhood. And they invite us to go back into our childhood and to process, because childhood is often when we were first just free spirited, just believe that we can do and be anything. So I invite you to join in the comments with, who did you used to pretend to be? Whether that was a character, whether that was a person, who did you want to be? Who did you pretend to be? For the women who say, I sometimes struggle with just knowing myself, I invite you to process that question and drop it down into the comments with us. The first time that you can remember pretending to be somebody, who did you pretend to be? So I see somebody saying my mother. I personally pretended to be Wonder Woman. I see a teacher. Very good, Michelle. I see a mother. I'm saying Wonder Woman. I pretended to be, oh, Tina Turner. Come on. I need to see your routine. Come on, give it to us, Tina Turner. I see Wonder Woman again. Somebody else who's Wonder Woman. I actually pretended to be liked by everybody. Okay, that's interesting, Sabrina. My first grade teacher is what you're coming with, Alice Baker. I see that. Thank y'all for staying and for participating. Sarah, you was coming through with Wonder Woman as well. Excellent. Mary Thompson says she was pretending to be her own mom, right? A famous athlete. Oh, that's interesting. Somebody was out there trying to be an athlete. Anybody was being a singer, singing real hard, thought you was doing something. Let's see who else we have here. So I see just several. I'm just putting some on the thing. A successful something woman. Oh, comedian. A choir director. We had a choir director up in here. Michael Jackson. Come on, Tiffany. Come on and let me see you do your moonwalk. Yes, Whitney Houston. Come on, Teresa. So here's the thing, y'all. Often we're invited into that conversation to really process who were we pretending to be. So here's where we're doing the work. Who was I pretending to be? So for every woman who says that sometimes I struggle with knowing who I am and what I really value and what matters to me, oftentimes we're invited to go back into our childhood, from the Tina Turners to the Michael Jacksons to the Wonder Womans to the teacher to the comedian, all of it, and begin to process who and why. So let's go a little bit deeper. I said Wonder Woman. The next question would be why? Why that character? What stood out for you about that character? So come back into the comments with me again. Y'all getting this whole group therapy on this morning as we prepare to wrap up. Let's go. Everybody back into the comments again. Why? When you think about the person that you chose or the role that you chose to pretend to be in, why? What struck you about that? I see somebody saying I was always pretending to be Anita Baker. Why? What struck you about that particular person or that particular role? So Sarah and I and a couple of people have said Wonder Woman. Honey, I would literally get the towel and tie it around my head, Sarah. I would be outside in the yard spinning around and around and around. Y'all know how she used to turn. I would be sitting and not sitting in a chair because I was pretending to fly in that invisible helicopter. And my why is that I realized Wonder Woman rescued people. I loved that element about her, even as a child. Wonder Woman was going to fly in to try to save the day. She was going to come in a crisis or in a difficult moment, and she was going to try to rescue people. She was going to try to save somebody. Let's see. So as you're processing it, what's your why? What's your why? Why did you pick that person? So you said you were spinning too. Alice, you're saying because of the kindness. Because of the kindness. I see somebody else saying because Wonder Woman saved the day. Kimberly is saying I was fascinated by people who reported the news. I see someone else saying because that person achieved greatness. Someone else said the way that she entertained and commanded the stage. Tracy is saying Wonder Woman because she was fearless and I was not. Lee, I know this is you in all caps because you loved music. And the choir director taught people the music and they worked with the musicians. There's this process that invites us to go deeper and deeper in that. Because in the core of that, you will begin to discover, even as a child, what you valued. When you look deeper, even if I was to take something like this choir director and music, I would imagine that in going deeper and deeper in tracking that, that person would discover, yes, I loved the music and I loved the practice of it. But when I really think about it, there was something beautiful to me about bringing people together and having one sound. And it's in music that people seem to forget their troubles and their problems. You understand that? Like as you go deeper and deeper, you'll really begin to see, even if I was to track in childhood and I did not have the words to express it then, there's something about me that was wired to want to see people's day be saved, or there was something about me that was wired to be fearless. There was something about me that was wired to respect and honor unity. There was something about me that was wired to even when we say entertain, but oftentimes in entertainment, that's where people go. And if they were having a bad day or a rough day, at least for a brief moment, they smiled and got joy. There was something about me that loved lifting up other people's spirits. When we track the depth of even our childhood interest, we will see things about ourselves that are revealed, things that perhaps have gotten lost in our life's living. That part of us that really used to enjoy, let me sing this song. Yes, I enjoy singing, but what I really enjoy is seeing how I can shift an atmosphere. And where people were once arguing or sad or disgruntled, now they're all laughing and clapping. And I know that I'm anointed and I'm called to do that. I invite you to take some time and sit with your roles, sit with who you chose, and really process even more. What about them stands out for me? And then help me to embrace that that was once a priority. That was once what I really enjoyed about myself. That's what I once saw myself doing. Even for our sister who said the newscaster, and I was always fascinated by people who brought the news. Perhaps there's a deeper level there that is even associated with understanding that I love communication. I love being able to help people understand and be informed. There's something about connecting people through conversations that really strikes and really moves me. There's more depth in our childhood roles and positions and characters that we chose that gives evidence of who we really are. For everybody who's wanting to know themselves more deeply, becoming more attached to who they were originally created to be, track that back to your childhood role position or character hero and begin to understand some deeper depth about yourself. So we're going to go ahead and stop there. One, because y'all have been listening to me with no camera. We'll get that part figured out. And two, because it is time for us to go. But that's our tip number one. It's channeling, checking out your childhood, checking out what drew your interest even then, before the world gave its voices to everything about your thoughts and opinions. Go back to your childhood and pick out a character or a role or a person that you really admired or pretended to be, and begin to unearth why. What struck me about that role, position, or person, even as a child? And listen, that will begin to reveal to you your untainted self, your pure self that just gravitated naturally towards who you are created to be. All right. With that being said, though, you guys, ladies, we're going to go ahead and go. I love you all. Run under another queen. Give them some love. I can't even see y'all doing it, but I'm assuming that you are. So run under other queen. Give them some love. Give them a tight hug. And I'll see you right back here in the morning. All right. Y'all take care. Thank you for sticking through it. As always, I honor the greatness that's on the inside of you. Bye now.